How's it going, YouTubers? Just another day / night in paradise, right? That's what I thought. Well, at least my day's ending with a little bit of sunshine, but it certainly didn't start out that way. Got in the old Trailblazer this morning after about 4 days of not using it. After the big cold snap, it got down to 13 below zero, and when I parked it, my dash was working just fine. Now, none of the instrumentation is working. Nothing. I go to start it up, put the key in it here. They are deader than a doornail, and Trailblazers have a big problem with this. There's a solder joint inside the instrumentation on the back that sometimes you get in there, and if you can figure out which little chip is loose, has come loose from a weak solder joint from the factory, you can resolder it and make it work, but you can see nothing works. Now the turn signals work, you can see that works, but at the RPM, nothing is working. So what I've done so far is I've gone outside. If you have this problem, I'll just save you the grief and the hassle. Man, is it muddy now. It's February, early February, and we got a warm spell and it's muddy. There's a fuse box. The instrument cluster is this one right here, number 24. Pulled the fuse out, it's fine. I even disconnected the battery, thought maybe I'd reset something. Nope, it ain't happening. So it looks like I'm going to have to probably pull the cluster out, tear it apart, and see if I can find maybe a solder joint that's gone bad. I've had luck with this on Fords, where the odometer would be flashing on and off, but this is a little more serious with the instrumentation not working. So there you go. I've been bragging too much on the thing. It's been running pretty good. So that's what happens when you start bragging on a vehicle, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and see if we can get this cluster out. All right, now in order to get this plastic bezel off here, in order to get this off the cluster out, we have to take off some screws. We need a 7mm socket, a couple of Phillips screwdrivers. We got to unhook some wires here and a couple of wires here, and this plastic piece will come off. Then we can get in here and pull this off. I'm gonna do the best I can with my cell phone here and try to show you how to take this off. And this will also allow you to get into your radio if you ever have that problem. By the way, if you have a Trailblazer, you don't know this. If you ever change your radio and try to put another one in, it's not going to work. You might get lucky and get it work if you can hack it. But the problem is with these Trailblazers, the mileage, the speedometer, the mileage indication here, and a lot of the other information is actually stored in the radio, in the chip. So you can't really change out these Trailblazers radios and just swap them around because, Chevrolet thought it would be cute to put all that information in the radio instead of the computer in the vehicle. So this is why you really can't change radios, and people have a lot of issues with those. So just so you know, thankfully mine works, but not so much for the dash. All right, enough jibber jabber. Let's get this piece off and see if we can get this cluster out and check some wires in the back before I tear it apart. So after having some sugar and having a hot dog, my blood sugar level is up now and I'm more concentrated. I can concentrate better. But anyway, we got that screw out there. We got this one here out, a little 7mm. Now you don't have to do this. I went ahead and took these screws out on the bottom here because there's actually a light right here that burns out. A lot of people don't know about, and it's actually the floor light right there. You can see it's black, it's burned out. Just drop that down. We got these two screws out there, and the reason we want to drop those screws out, take them out, is because this plastic bezel right here, we have to take that one out and that one out. This just lets this drop down a little bit in order to get into those. And we'll put our screws off to the side. And up here on this cluster bezel cover, there's a screw right there, and there's a Phillips screw here. Go ahead and get this one out. And you got to have a small screwdriver because there's no room. And now we got that, and now all we have to do is go ahead and take these screws out down here on the bottom. All right, so we just about got that one out. Got them all loosened up there. This is my little Samsung Galaxy S5. Actually, it's called a Active S5. It's waterproof, I don't know. Get this out of here. There's that one. We got one more on the other side. Stick those there. Like I said, my Trailblazer's in very good condition on the inside. It looks like showroom condition, but I just ended up with no dash instruments just out of the blue. And I know it was weather related because, like I said, I parked it when it got cold and didn't drive it for a few days. And when I got back in it, something, you know, with the temperatures being that cold, something in there probably contracted, shrank, because you know how temperature works with metal and parts. And it pulled the solder joint loose. That's what I'm thinking. I mean, I can get another dash instrument cluster here for the dash, but it's about $100. So if I can fix this for nothing, you know, it's $100 saved, right? All right, so we got all this here loose. This is loose, so what we got to do now is go ahead and pull this outward. I think I can do this with the camera in one hand and you watching. And pull this out like this. And we got it clipped there. Pull this out a little bit more on this side. Just take your time at it. No need to be in a hurry. Pull this out. Don't pull it too far because we got one more screw we have to take out, which is right down here. Get our Phillip in there. Screwdriver. Take this out real quick. I'll have to set the camera down to get that one. I think we got it. There it is. Alright, so that's out. And now you can see that this whole piece moves, which is great. This is what we want. So now what we got to do, we got to pop this plug out of here. There's a wire on the back of this we got to disconnect, and for the forward drive and also for the rear wiper. So just kind of take your hand, push it forward like this. I'll have to set the camera down again. Kind of like that. Just push them forward. They got these little clips there on the side that keep it in there. And push on this little tab here, and this should pop that off. It looks like somebody's been working on this before. Alright, got that one out. And this is the four-wheel drive switch. And now we got to take the rear wiper off. And I have to take a little tiny screwdriver and release that tab right there where my thumb is, and that should come right out. There we go, got that. And these little tiny screwdrivers like this, these are great to have. And I even have a Phillip here which has a little magnet on the back. Makes it wonderful. So that's all loose there, and all we have to do now is go over here on the driver's side and pull this, pop this whole switch unit off from the back. It comes off really easy. You just push on these little tabs right there where my thumb is. And this will come right off. Now we may have to go ahead and pull the steering wheel all the way down like this and just simply lift up on this, and it should come out. And of course, I'm going to have to set the camera down to grab with this with both hands so I don't break it. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot to tell you, you do have two little wires right here. Your cigarette lighter. I unhooked one of them. This one is really easy to do right here. I just left the other one on. You can just simply just tip this back like this out of the way. Move it out of the way. You can still get this one off here, but it's you got to really use both fingers to get in there to get those clips. But anyway, now we have access into our cluster here. And here is a look at the switch. Like I said, you just push on these guys right here on the side and on them. And this releases the clips and takes care of that. Now all we have to do is go ahead and pop 4 of these little guys out. They're 7mm. I'm hoping it's just a plug issue, and actually the plug is right there on the top of this. But if that doesn't make the instrument cluster work, then I am going to have to take this apart and look at it and see what we got. So let's go ahead and get these screws out real quick. Alright, so we got those two out. We got one on the bottom out, and we're on our last one up here on the top. And I think we just about got it here. And there it is. These are actually long, so don't forget that the ones you're taking out, the longest ones, are the ones that go where the instrument cluster is. Alright, so just pull up one, and boom. Now I will thank Chevrolet for doing this. They made this wire pretty long. Made it pretty easy to get excess into it. So, let's do this. Well, I got the 4 ways of working. Turn that off real quick. Okay, so what I've done, I've turned this sideways, the whole cluster. Now, you can disconnect your battery if you want. I didn't disconnect my battery because I want to be able to have access into the switch here, because we're going to shake this wire and see if this makes any difference. Maybe it's just a loose connection here. I don't know. So we'll go ahead and pull this completely out. Looks okay. Let's just plug it back in. You heard it click. And let's spin this up like this and see if we have any instruments. Nothing. Wah, wah, wah. Oh well, I tried. So more than likely there's a problem inside here. We're just going to tear this cluster apart and look in the back with a magnifying glass. There's some really strong eyeglasses. And see if we can see anything that's come loose, that's burnt. But yeah, nothing is working. You can hear the engine running. So that's kind of a bummer. Well, at least we tried, right? That's all that matters. Alright, so this video is already 9 minutes long. What I'm going to do is end the video here, and when I tear this apart, I'll make a second video. But at least you know how to get this bezel off. And you can get into your radio that way and all that. So wish me luck. I'll see you back here on part 2 a little bit later, and we'll see if we can get this fixed, hopefully within a day or so. Interrupt this program for a special bulletin. Well, you're not going to believe this. I was getting ready to pull this apart right after I wrapped up the video. This piece here just kind of pops off. No big deal. Just kind of pop these little tabs off all the way around to the side. And I kind of moved this around a little bit. You can see you can't take this off yet because the front of this still has the gauges on it. Now I'm looking at this board. I see absolutely nothing wrong with it. So I thought, well, I've been moving it around a little bit, and you know how solder joints are sometimes on these vehicles. You know, no big deal. I wasn't going to go any further. I was going to take it inside and go ahead and take the rest of this apart and look on the back side of this. So I thought, well, before I do that, just for the heck of it, I'm going to set this up and hook it up real quick. I thought, yeah, what the heck, I'm just going to set it in here like this, and we're just going to plug this up and see if anything happens just before I tear it apart. And would you know, as soon as I did that, check this out, the sucker started working. Can you believe that? Look at that. So apparently he just had a bad connection somewhere. Perhaps a bad solder joint or something. There we go. Set it up a little bit better. So it sits right about there. So there we go. Nevertheless, I was ready to rip this thing apart. And would you know, it started working. Check the RPM gauge out. Working now. So you can try this also. So like I said, that would be 4 things you can do. Check your fuse, unhook your battery, see if it'll reset. Tap it, and if that doesn't work, pull it out, play with your plug a little bit, maybe take the front cover off like I did here, and just kind of move that board around a little bit, and voila, I can't believe it. So it's working. So I thought that would be a nice update for you guys, to show you that if you're having this problem with your Trailblazer, go ahead and just pull the cluster out, mess around with it, and it'll probably come back on. If not, then you might have to take it apart. So I was ready to rip into it and look in the back. So there you go. So I guess this is the end of the video. I guess I'll go ahead and put everything back together. But if I ever have any problems with this, again, I will tear into it and see if we can figure out what's going on with it and all that. So there you go, guys. Hopefully this will help you out. So until my next video.